Hey guys, happy Wine Wednesday. Today we thought it might be fun to blind taste me on red wines and see if I can tell the difference between a 30, a 50, and a $70-ish price point on red wines. So stay tuned and happy Wine Wednesday. Hope that you can join us to sip some Canadian wine and chat. Cheers. Hey, happy Wine Wednesday, y'all Canadian wine lovers. Here is Carl Boucher.
Happy Wine Wednesday. Let me see if I can hear you louder here. There you go.
So it's fall. I don't know about you guys that had the heat in Toronto last week. It was like 33 humidex in Toronto. I don't know about you guys who were in the Okanagan enjoying like 24 degrees last week, but now it is fall.
It sure is. It sure is.
The wind's blowing. It's cold. I need some red wine. So I said, Carl, I need some red wine. It's Wine Wednesday. What Canadian reds are we opening tonight? So he's like, well, let's do something kind of fun, right? About a year ago, I think we tasted an $8 wine, $16 wine, and like a $35 wine.
And you told me that day, now we need to do something. Next time we need to do something a little different. So today I do something different. We do 30, 50, 70.
Yeah. And it was actually, I remember Arthur who said, that might be a little too easy, like telling the difference between an $8 wine and a $35 wine. That's pretty straightforward, right? Like I could tell. I have the untrained palate here. Carl's been in the wine business for 30 years. So this guy really knows what he's doing. He can smell a wine and be like, oh yeah, that's probably a 2015 from this and this region. And I'd say there's some oak, maybe neutral oak. And he can smell
French or American.
Yeah, he'll be like, maybe some American oak in there. But for me, I'm more the typical wine lover. I don't know. I've been tasting wine a lot more since the pandemic because we started Carl's Wine Club. And because I think a lot of people started, hobby into wine in the pandemic. I think it's great. Trains your brain to associate, different tastes and smells with different flavors. And I think it's fabulous. You get to know all these different winemakers and wineries.
According to a study that wine tasting and describing flavors in wines can help you live longer and healthier.
It actually has been linked to helping with dementia because it reconnects parts of your brain with your sensory experience. And it's also a social activity generally, which is really good for you, for your brain as you age, right? So using descriptive words to describe what you're experiencing while in the company of good friends. I mean, that seems pretty good already, but the research has shown also that there is a great benefit to that. So
according to that study, I'm going to live until 175 years old. You're stuck with me for a long time, dear.
Same here, according to that
study. Well, hey, cheers to that. Cheers to long live.
And Elaine
listen,
says
it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I selected.
You're right, because Elaine's saying I sell myself short. It's true. I mean, I've only been seriously into wine for 2 or 3 years now, but I'm married to this guy, and he tastes like thousands of wines. So I get to taste them with him. So you do learn a lot just by tasting so many wines, don't you?
Well, and it's great. It's good. Yeah, I mean, she's so right. You've been like the steps and you're the progression that you had, and especially in the last 12 months, is absolutely tremendous. Now, like I try to trick you once in a while. I try to get you some little challenge here and there when we taste, and you rise to challenges pretty quickly, and you're a very quick learner. So I have to say you're pretty impressive.
Wow.
So first and foremost, we had like we've been tasting. You were away all weekend. You tasted something unique with
Yeah.
your family. So we split. Believe it or not, there was holidays. Hey, by the way, happy Thanksgiving to everyone who's listening. Hopefully, belated Thanksgiving. Hopefully, everyone had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully, people share with family and had a really good time. Here at the Boucher, for the first time, we split. Yeah, for Thanksgiving due to our kids' hockey situation. So I was a little bit unusual. Mira went to Victoria with the family. I stayed behind with the two young boys for hockey. So, but yeah, but with the
So
family, you tasted something pretty unique, though.
yeah, so it was a new fortified wine that Hillside Winery just put out last week, a fortified rosé made out of Muscat, Ottonel, and a little bit of Merlot. So it was super interesting. I love fortified, I've discovered, especially since we featured Howling Bluff a few weeks ago, and they have the most outstanding white fortified I think I've ever tasted. You gave it what, 93 points?
93 points. It was definitely my dessert point of the year.
Yeah.
Since I tasted the Riesling sparkling ice wine from Fogelar
Oh, yes.
couple couple years
That
ago,
was something else.
I think that's my second favorite that I've had. Oh, sorry.
The
Here,
Howling Bluff? Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
the Howling Bluff.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
in that theme, I was like, "Ooh, another fortified," and I tried it. I think it's really interesting, really, different, so it was great with my turkey. I had a dessert wine with my turkey. Can you believe that?
yeah, you know what? They said nothing is wrong. What like they always say that with my background as a wine director and as a maitre d' in fine dining. Yes, there's the book, the official book of wine and food pairing. There's some classic, there's some trend, there's some stuff that you can't miss. But at the end of the day, when people were used to ask me, well, what's exactly like, is there any general rules with wine and food pairing? And my classic answer is that yes, you just pair what you like with what your favorite food with your favorite drink. If it works for you, it's the best pairing in the world. You know
There you
what?
go.
Plain and simple. That's Carl's
Yeah.
rules. There's no, salmon with Chardonnay. If you like salmon with Cap Sauv, it's the best pairing for you. Plain and simple. All right, it's not in the book. Okay. It's not what we recommend. But you know what? If it works for you, the end of the story, right?
So
So,
we have so many differences in what we associate different flavors with and what memories those flavors bring out for us, and even what other flavors we can taste when we taste certain flavors, right? So it's a complex thing. It's super subjective, isn't it? So anyway, I'm excited to do this little blind taste thing
well, I just wanted to
where,
say my old point, sorry, before you go, is I took a break of tasting this weekend.
oh, that was, oh, okay.
I know I was just here on my own with the boys, so I didn't taste anything.
Wow.
No, that's not true. I was invited. No, 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 no. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
3 days
That's
without
not
tasting any
true.
wine is
I
a
have to
big
tip
deal.
my hat
Yeah.
to Lily Homebridge because I had their Zweigel with Thanksgiving dinner. Even if we split this weekend, but the kids and I were invited by Rob Hammersley and Michelle at Black Market Wine Company, for Thanksgiving dinner with their family. Because we were three boys with no mom in the house, right?
Yeah.
So, like, who's going to feed us? We needed a family to feed us. Nah, just joking. But we were not planning to do anything. But anyway, I brought a bottle of Zweigel. So I had the Lely Stonebridge Zweigel, who was absolutely fantastic. And guess what? I also brought a Fred's wine, Fred's Riesling, that we tasted this summer when we were in Ontario. So Fred DiProfio, who is the winemaker at Bellaterra, also have his own line, who's called Fred's Wine. If you have not checked it out yet, Google it. Go on Instagram, subscribe to his Instagram account. It's fantastic. His wines are great, and he's promoting more and more right now. So
Fred wine.
Fred wine, yeah. And I had the
Really,
Riesling.
really enjoyed.
So I brought the Riesling and the Zweigel from Stonebridge. Both wines were an absolute perfect pairing. So these are classic, right? When we talk about classic pairings, Zweigel with the turkey and the stuffing, that was great. A little good meatiness in the mid palate. It was great. Fantastic wine. We had also Rob popped a Ella traditional method from Maverick Estate Winery. Oh my God, I
Near
forgot how
Oliver,
good.
right?
Yeah, they're in Oliver on the
Yeah.
on the Golden Miles. Oh, I forgot how good that sparkling was. Oh, it was
Yeah.
delicious. Pinot Chard blend. The Pinot pops up, all of that, and there's little tint color in there too. It is just really beautiful. And by the way, I would like to tell everyone that now Black Market Wine Company has Rosé Magnum.
Ooh.
Yep, they
Just
have.
released?
Yeah, they just released.
Wow.
They don't have a ton, but if you're listening and you like magnums of rosés, maybe you should contact Michelle and Rob at Black Market. They have a few Omerta magnums. So they
Wow.
opened one as well. And yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
One of our
yeah.
favorite rosés in Canada. Hey,
Yeah.
so what do I need to know about these glasses behind me with the blind tasting that we're doing here
Well,
on?
you first and foremost, you need to get your palate a little bit. You get a little sip of the Sauvignon Blanc because if you
Oh,
see here on
okay.
my left, get a little sniffy sniff of that. Wash your palate with your a little bit of your favorite grapes of the Sauvignon Blanc. This is Pouring Affair. I'm celebrating Foreign Affair here tonight because there's a very specific reason. Because next week we're featuring Foreign Affair. We're right deep into the fall season. It's real fall. We need real fall wines, and we're going with the Passimento and Big Bold Red. Also including a few gold medal, a few platinum medals wine. So yeah, we
Sorry, that was
are.
a balloon.
That was a balloon. There you go. We're also in the midst of birthday parties here. So there's balloons everywhere. But yeah, we're celebrating Foreign Affair. They have a great mix of value wine and top premium wine as well. So it's going to be, so what we have, you have in your glass 3 wines from Foreign Affair.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, and 3. You have a 30, a 50, and a $70. So I mean, yeah, I want you to tell me which one
Hey,
is which.
I'll do the nose thing first. Okay, so that one is so like very nice nose on number 1. Okay, so number 1, we'll call it very pleasant nose, like floral almost.
And let me tell you also, you don't like what we're looking at here. It's pricing, okay? Which one
Yeah.
is premium? Which one is top premium and which one is mid premium? Because we don't have entry level in that. It's 30, 50, 70, right? So the
Yes, nice
3 are
smell.
blends. Okay, there's no single varietals in there. All blends and all Bordeaux blends, okay, with different dominant grapes. One is Merlot dominant, one is Cab Sauv dominant, and I believe that we have one Cab Franc dominant. So,
Okay. This is very interesting. Very interesting. So I almost feel
because
like I need
yes,
a pen to
we need
write
a
down
pen.
just to
Oh yeah,
write down some stuff. So I'll tell you on the nose, if I had to pick which was the most expensive on the nose, I will tell you, okay? They all smell really delicious. Okay, I would say number 2 is the most expensive. I'm just going by how much value I'm getting from the nose, okay? So if I were going to quantify like my enjoyment with the price point, okay? I would say my favorite nose is number 2, okay? And then if I had to go from there down, oh, that's a tough one. Number 1 or number 3?
So, for people who are just tuning in, I would like to welcome everyone, Canadian wine lovers. Tonight, Mira is blind tasting price point. So, I have Mira here tasting three wines from Foreign Affair: a wine at $30, a wine at $50, and a wine at $70. So now we need to know. Mira, we'll wait for Mira to tell us which one is which. Welcome, Daryl. Daryl's dancing with Loire tonight.
Frenchie here. Tell us how to pronounce that name. What Daryl's drinking. What's Daryl
So,
drinking?
le Petit Métis de la Savinière, it's Claude Lamarche. So it's a single, it's a probably Petit Métis Savinière is the domain. So it's the producer. Claude Lamarche is the communal appellation. So that means it's a single vineyard that you call in one of these sub-region, either if it's Burgundy or Loire Valley. So Claude Lamarche. In the Claude Lamarche, was is a big vineyard, different producer, have a couple rows, have a spot in there in the Claude Lamarche. So Domaine du Petit Métis Savinière has a spot in the Claude Lamarche. So it's probably a cru, but it's Loire Valley. So I'm suspecting that, Daryl, that you are tasting some Cap Franc tonight, probably. That would be my guess. So let's get back to Mira and her tasting. Now she's still on the smelling part. So where are you at here?
On the nose, if I had to rate them, I'm gonna put it in the comments so I can keep track. Okay, let's see if it lines up between the nose, the palate, what else, right? And the finish. Let's do that. Nose, palate, finish. So, oh my God. So Daryl says it's actually a Chenin.
Okay, so he's on the white side. So I didn't know like Claude Lamarche might be red or white. I didn't know. I don't have that deep understanding, that deep knowledge of the Loire Valley. It could have been anything, not anything, but it could have been red or white. So Chenin Blanc. So on the white side, are you on the dry side or you're more on the moelleux side, Daryl?
Yeah, he'll let us know. Okay, so I'm going to go for the taste. I mean, I look at the colors and they are all super deep because they are Appassimento, I am guessing, because you've got a bunch of Foreign Affairs behind you. So that's my first guess, is these might be from there, but I'm not totally sure. So they are all...
Well, I'm not totally sure if all Foreign Affair has Appassimento, though.
That's true.
It might be full Appassimento, it might be partial Appassimento, might be full Appassimento. I'm not really sure about it.
So I think Foreign Affair was one of these wineries, rare ones in Canada, that at first their philosophy was to do partial or full Appassimento on all their wines. And then I think a number of years back, they started to say, hey, we're doing more what makes sense for that particular wine and that particular vintage. Doesn't always make sense to put Appassimento in there, especially like with these really warm and amazing vintages we've been seeing in Niagara. I think Appassimento is sometimes a way to kind of moderate, the vintage and bring more richness and stuff. Is that right, Carl?
Is that right? But it's also bring like a consistency in style as well. So... Right. But yes, absolutely. At the very beginning, Appassimento was definitely something to fight to bring consistency in vintage, because colder vintage had a little lack of ripeness or not bring as much body as some certain people would like to have their red wine. So Appassimento was brought in, but also it's a house style, right? So we've seen that with Rennie, we've seen that with other producers, but here we have nice. Yeah, we're gonna go here.
On the color side, the brightest is actually 2, and then 3, then 1. So like 1 is like the darkest from what I can tell. But maybe, I don't know if my lighting is great here. I'm just on this white marble table to try and take a look. But they're all pretty deep. So that's interesting.
Which vintage are you on, Daryl? So if you bought it a while ago, let me know which vintage. These wines, you're right, man. You're right, Daryl. These wines from the Loire, especially with Chenin, they have such a long cellaring potential. 2015, yeah, just getting started, eh? So
nice. Okay, so that's okay. So I gotta start tasting. Okay, so I'm gonna taste the first one. This is one. Mm. Ooh, that has a surprising and exciting finish. It's got this beautiful texture, and then it jumps into this like really, like almost like a bit of meatiness in the finish, as well as this nice like texture and voluptuousness. Really
I
interesting on the
believe that the number one has a it's Merlot dominant. I believe.
Okay, okay, very good to know. Keep dropping the hints there, Carl. Yes. Mm. Mm. And two is a little bit more like the shape. Okay, so if we go back to my interpretive dance, the first one is a little bit more like ooh, and gets kind of like more crescendo towards the end. The second one has a shape that's more like an eye, like woo and like that. Okay. And then the third one, let's see. Mm. I feel like that third one has the most complexity.
Okay.
I could sit there and think about that one quite a bit more.
Much more cerebral, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So on the palette, I would say, I don't know if I'm looking at price points at this point for the palette. I am guessing 3 is most pricey, followed by, I got to taste 1 and 2 again. I don't know.
You're probably going to get a substantial difference
Well,
between
I'm
one
getting
and
it. Well, what? Say that again. Are you giving me a hint?
yeah, no, I'm saying that you might probably get a substantial difference between 1 and 2, much more than between 2 and 3. To me, when I look at price
Yeah,
point,
that's exactly it.
when I look at price point, I look into texture. That's one of my texture and complexity are usually two things that leads me to price point. Like in the texture, to me, yeah, price point and texture are so related to me. And yeah, for people who are listening here, if I have some experienced taster on the call here, like let me know, what are you looking for when you taste for like, and when you try to figure out the price point. To me, it's a lot about texture.
That's interesting because, of course, barrel aging, like a big part of what it does is influence the texture, isn't it?
Yeah, duh.
Flavors, but also very much about the texture. Like we've tasted wines when they're properly and gracefully aged in barrels, that you get this voluptuousness in your mouth, this incredible texture, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it goes into like velvety sexiness and all of that, a whole spectrum of emotion into the texture, right? And that's where the price point goes up. Like that's where it's worth it when you get all of these feeling. There you go, Daryl. Right on topic here. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the
Texture, mouthfeel, like same kind of description here. But yeah, and
yeah,
like
and
to
you like
me,
saying more
that
flavors,
leads
true.
me to these deep emotion, leads me to these feelings. It's all about the texture and the mouthfeel.
And
Absolutely.
one of the reasons I know we're onto a really good wine is Carl has such a like easier but more enthusiastic time talking about the wine. So when we're trying to do tasting notes, usually Carl is like talking about the wine and I interpret. And the tasting notes end up being a lot longer with a really good wine because you've got a lot more there to talk about. The more complexity, more mouthfeel, more flavors, like Elaine is saying too. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, so I have to retaste them real quick. I already said for the palate, I'm guessing 3 is most pricey at this point, but it's very close between 2 and 3. And like you said, I think 1 is the one that is I can start to guess is maybe the less expensive one, the $30 one. We're doing 30, 50, and 70, you
You got that
said.
right. You got that
3
right.
price points, right? So at
Yeah.
this point, I'm guessing the 1 is the $30 wine. The $50 wine is 2 maybe, and the 70 is 3. But the 2 and 3, okay, the 50 and 70 that I believe they are, they're closer. So it needs more thinking here. I'm just
That's
going to
what I'm
taste them.
saying. You should see much a bigger difference between 1 and 2 than 2 and 3.
I do.
I think so. I think so. And it goes into the barreling process and all of that. So because between 1 and 3, you may have like in probably in 3 you have double of the time in barrel, right?
Yeah.
So
So hey, do you have your phone? Do you have your phone?
yeah, right here.
Okay, can you pull up the stopwatch? Because I just want to do a little experiment with the finish, okay? Because then after we've done the finish, then I want to kind of retaste them and say my final thing, okay?
Then if you go ahead, I'm on the clock here.
Okay, so I'm tasting
For
number
the
1. This is the one
stopwatch.
that so far I am guessing maybe the $30 wine, okay? So just as soon as you see me take a sip, just start it, okay? And then I'll tell you when I don't taste the finish anymore. But wait, first, okay. First. How do you gauge a finish, Carl?
When I gauge
Like,
a finish,
yeah,
when it starts lingering in my mouth.
yeah. And so, like, as long as you can keep tasting the flavors, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because sometimes I can go for a very long time.
Absolutely. That's when we have a wine with a great darn freaking length, and that makes a huge difference. And you know what? Often, just as texture and mouthfeel sometimes is also included in complexity, but length and complexity are really hand in hand because you rarely have a very long lasting finish without complexity, right? It's rarely lingered in one unidimensional flavors, that things are
Right. Gotta be
changing
bold.
and shifting and evolving and ups and downs. And so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then I'm gonna taste the first one. This is the one I'm suspecting is maybe the $30 one. This is including tax, 30 including tax. So if you're a BC person, this would be like, I don't know, $23 at the liquor store, right? 24,
No,
25.
yeah, plus tax. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But
25, 26. Okay, I
but
don't know my
because
taxes.
it's an
Okay.
Ontario wine, if you get that on the shelf in BC, the 30 will probably cost you 55 anyway. So
Well, yeah, so you can't do that. But okay, so I'm gonna taste this. As soon as you see me swallow, start your timer, Carl, and I'm gonna tell you when the finish is starting to kind of wear off, okay?
okay,
All right. Ready?
I am.
All right, ready, set, go. Yeah, I'm getting flavors. It's very nice. It's kind of like if it were landing as a plane, it's got a nice descent there. I'm still getting some flavors. I'm getting some stuff all over my tongue a little bit here. Sides of the tongue. Yeah, getting flavors. I'd say it's pretty much done now. Yeah.
Yeah. Already, like it's a 30-second kind of flavor. Like I know, like it's not really scientific what we're doing here. It's kind of like doesn't really work that way. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Where you're going. I may have started that timer a little early. At 30 seconds, it's something that it's pushing a pretty darn long finish. But yeah, so we have 30 seconds
Well, what
here.
was I getting out of it? Because okay, so this is where I learned about the finish. Okay, you're always talking about the finish. When I tasted that $8 wine, Carl, We were live with you guys. Some of you might have been on that show. When I tasted that $8 wine, I knew that must have been the $8 wine because it had no freaking finish. It was almost like drinking water or grape juice or something. Like there was almost no finish, 2 seconds after you took the sip, you're like, did I just take a sip of wine? I don't know. Right? But with this, it's for sure you took a sip of wine. This is clearly a good wine. It's got a nice
but
long
also
finish.
let's keep in mind now you're 3 times more expensive, more than 3 times more expensive than your $8 that you tasted that you're comparing, right? So
Obviously.
you're comparing
So I'm not comparing. I'm just saying that's how I figured, because I tasted so many wines with you and we taste such great wines that I was like, what the hell does he mean by the finish, right?
Yeah, no, and you're right. That number one lingers on the tongue for a while. That spark of white pepper, that spark of white pepper lingering. And I have to say,
sure.
I tasted this wine this summer, early in the summer. I would say probably in May that I had that wine. And I am really impressed with the progression of that wine because it's much, much better now than it was earlier this year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize that some wines don't have a finish. And it's not till I tasted that $8 wine that I went, oh, okay.
That's what is a non-fit. Yeah. I get what you mean. So, okay. So we're done with
saying describe the flavor, cherry or blackberry, blueberry. I think, so number one, I'm getting some cherry. And I'm getting a little bit of blueberry jam later in the progression of flavors. But there are definitely multiple flavors there. It's really interesting, and you could sit there and think about it some more. But on a first glance, that's kind of what I see. Okay, number 2.
I almost get a little bit of a red pepper jelly as well.
Yeah, because of that sort of little bit of spice on the end, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So number two. Mm-hmm.
There's much more forest floor on the nose here. There's some graphite. Okay, I shut my mouth here. It's not my show, it's your show, Mira.
That's true.
And when you swirl, but also look at your glass. When you swirl, you see the legs, right?
Oh, the legs. You're right.
Yeah, you have a very good indication of which type of concentration you have there.
I get some big thick legs on 2. I have some. Oh, I couldn't see the legs on 3 here. Oh well, 3. I feel like they're either very thick or not. I can't tell here. Oh, they're very thick. 3 is very thick. Jeez. Okay. And the legs on 1 are definitely thinner. They just go faster. They just, the little, they run faster. So that's interesting. So that's another piece, right, of the price equation. Elaine's guessing Merlot for number 1 and telling you to Carl. All right. So love it. So number 2, I need you to bring the stopwatch out. I know it's not scientific, but hey, like, interesting.
Who the heck cares, right? We're doing it our way. So if people are not happy, they can freaking change the channel.
All right. So watch me swallow this one and then start once I, that's when the finish starts, right? Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Ooh, this one is like a sultry finish. It's like it gives you enough time to taste a few things so you think, okay, it's sticking around for a while. I don't have to rush to think about it. And this finish is a lot more, not just on the tongue, but kind of like whole mouth. And I'm still getting some flavors kind of sides of my mouth.
There's much more tannin too, right?
Yeah. So I'd say that's about it where, yeah. Okay. So a little bit longer. Although, like you said, that first one was maybe a little bit more generous, but as my suspicion was, 2 does have a longer finish than 1. That was my initial impression, but I'm like glad we timed it and we kind of know. Okay. And then number 3. You ready with your timer, Carl Boucher?
Yeah, I am. I'm still trying to, but it's, to me, number 2, it's much more on dark fruit, right? Darker, more fuller body, heavier, and there's much more like torrefaction in a sense, like coffee, a little bit more burnt toast, graphite, minerality. So.
Elaine, yes. So I think Elaine and I would have fun doing interpretive dance to describe wines.
Geez, stop it.
If it's more sharp like geometric triangles or smooth like an oval. Definitely the second one I feel like was more smooth.
And the second one that pulse, like it's keep pulsing.
Yeah, definitely. And then the third one, I just tasted it again. I am getting just more like sparks in there. Like there's interesting sparks of flavors. It's really interesting. All right, should we do the finish on the third one?
Let's go.
Okay. So with this one, it actually makes my mouth water. The other 2, not as much. But with this one, it's like, whoo, there's like maybe more acidity or something, but it's still going. Still going different sides of the mouth and stuff like that. This is a very interesting finish. And it has more tannins, this one, number 3 here. I feel like it's got a little bit more of the tannins.
There's more arist. There's more arist. There's more arist too.
A little bit more sugar.
Yeah. More jammy notes. Black cherry, blackberry.
I get more flavors on this one. I don't know if I can describe them very well, but I definitely get more
thicker,
flavors.
bigger, bolder.
And if I had to dance this one out, this is a little bit more just exciting. There's something more exciting about this wine. There's something a little more vibrant and vivacious. So that's so my assessment then, I'll put it in the comments. Hello, Pierre. Carl is blind tasting me on price points, $30, $50, $70. Okay, see if I can tell the difference, because I've only been tasting wines for 2 years and he has for 30. So I don't know. We'll see. But if I had to go on the finish, did you finish did we do the
Yeah, I cut it off at 1 minute. I mean, you tasted a second time, so you went out of control. So you need, so
okay. Not a professional. Okay. So on the finish, I would say 1, 2, and 3. Again, 2 and 3. Okay, $50 and $70. That's my guess. So my guess is the $30 one is number 1. The $50 one is, that's where it's tricky. The 50 and the 70.
I told you at the beginning, they should be, and you're bang on, because there should be a bigger gap between 1 and 2 than 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I think 2 and 3 are much closer than 1 and 2 should be.
Okay.
So by definition, 1 should be 1. Like 1 is 30. Like it is.
And then the $70 one, I'm guessing at this point is 3, just because it did have like more.
Listen, you already said it. The finish is longer. The legs are thicker. The mouthfeel is more vibrant. I mean, you named them all. I mean, what more are you looking for?
So there you go.
You got it. You got it. 1, 2, and 3. It's exactly the same order than the price point is. You are bang on. And the 3 wines have $20 difference. 20, 20, 20. in each and every one of them. I believe that through the three wines made their price point. I truly believe that. Even the $70 is pretty darn freaking luxurious. Like
It is
the texture,
luxurious.
like the texture of it. So yeah, these are fantastic wines.
I gotta tell you, I'm looking at one of these legs, and I mean that's another little experiment you could do. Is the way it's dripping down is like super slow. It's like bip 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 bip.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the concentration of the wine. So you nailed it. Absolutely. Here is our my wine specialist here.
Well,
So
thank you.
yeah. I wish that Archer was on and
We'll
listening
send
to
him a
that
note.
today.
We have to send him a note and let him know.
Yeah.
Finally did
I
it.
mean,
It
you
was his
absolutely
idea to
nailed
do
it.
this tasting.
So here, let's see which wine it was. So
Yeah, so
we
tell me
have
one.
the 2020 Dreams by Foreign Affair. So this is your $30.
Okay.
Okay. The
2020
Dream.
Dream?
Yeah, 2020 Dream. And I would say to me, yeah, 2020 Dream. There may be just partial appassimento. Okay.
It doesn't say on it, does it?
Let's see here. Blend of Merlot, Cap Franc, and Cap Sauve. But it doesn't
So is it
say.
Merlot dominant?
Yep.
So Elaine, you were right. Elaine, who guessed Merlot dominant.
Yep. And the second one, the $50 one, is Temptress 2020 vintage as well.
Okay.
So we're talking big boy vintage here, okay? And with Temptress, your Cap Franc dominant, Cap Franc Merlot, Cap Sauve, and a splash of Petit Verdot, single vineyard.
So this was number 2 at approximately $50.
Yep.
Was the 2020 Temptress?
Temptress.
From Foreign Affair?
Yeah. Cap Franc dominant. Franc Merlot Sauve PV.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then number 3 was?
That was the Apologetic 2019.
And that's about $70.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a cab blend, so I'm not sure of the assemblage just yet.
Sorry, and what was the vintage?
19.
Was it?
So we have 2020 and 19. So that leads me to think probably Apologetic is a full-on appassimento. But it's only 4.4% alcohol though. So I don't
think it was full-on appassimento because
but it's 2019 vintage.
Vibrancy, like
but it's 19 vintage, right?
Yeah,
you're right. I don't think it's full on appassimento, especially at 14.4. Temptress, you have 14.5. So the alcohol is higher in Temptress than it is with the Apologetic. So
yeah. Hey, do you have the blend on the $30 wine?
I don't have the exact blend, but I know for a fact that it's Merlot dominant, followed by Franc and a splash of Sauve.
Okay. So that's what.
Well, when I say splash, I'm not sure like if it's a lot or not a lot, but
yeah, we'll have to research that a little bit more or ask the winery for you guys by next week when we feature it. It's part of what we do. It's interesting. Some wineries do not give out a lot of this information that I think many wine lovers like to know. So that's part of what we do is we find out. And,
the Apologetic has a really, really long-lived potential, like really long cellaring potential, definitely.
So what makes you think it has a long cellaring potential? Because I mean,
because there's a great concentration. Okay, great concentration. There's a great mouthfeel, lots of complex, also bright acid. The tannin are still, it's a 19 vintage, 4 years in, but the tannin are still very present. The acid is high, so the acid's going to fall down a little bit more with age. The acid is a preservative, right?
Yes.
So
if you look at the Apologetic was number 3, right? The $70 wine. Yeah. It was my number 3 on the blind tasting here numbers. And so, okay, so I said that it has the second best nose. On my blind tasting, I said that it has the best palate, the most complex, interesting kind of palate, and the longest finish. And oh, thanks, Elaine. We're fun. Carl, we're fun. That's good. Yeah, so definitely like that all comes through when you see the price point. It's like makes sense, right? But oh, what I wanted to look at is the color, because I did put a thing here in the
Yeah, at the
comments.
very beginning, you were on to like you were looking at the darkest and this and that. And often the color will not be the reflection of the price point, right? So
That's true, but you were saying about how young it is and how much cellaring potential it has left. And sometimes you can tell that a little bit by the color.
yeah, but it's like you can tell when the wine has aged. You can't like at an early stage. No, I don't see that that you won't really that you can say where it is in its curve when you hit the top of the curve and the top fall off of the curve. That's when the wine turns orange, brickle, brownish. Now you can say, okay, this wine is at like 70% of its age or something like that. But at an early stage, I don't. Yes, you can when you look really like in the middle of it, looking at the rim and all of that, but it's not really like telling. You can really tell by the color when the wine is on the downslope. That's where it's easier. Your nose not gonna lie. The nose and the color, you'll be easier to tell if a wine is in decline only by the nose and the color. You don't even need to taste it. Your nose and the color will tell right away.
Interesting. There was a winemaker, who was it, Carl, recently that told us he can tell how well a wine will age by the color of the rim early on. Who was it that was claiming that?
Maybe you're seeing winemakers without me. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe it wasn't a winemaker. Maybe it was someone we were talking with who's a wine educator. But yeah, like the color is interesting because between these three, the most pricey one has the most like interesting color. It has a much darker color in the middle and more variation as it goes out to the edges, and it has the brightest rim compared to the others. And then the others,
yeah, no, that's true. And the white, like there's much more white around the rim at the top of the rim than it is with the $30 wine. Like there's barely no white rim on the $30 wine. And the Temptress, the $50 wine, I can't tell you, it's all gone on my side. So that's the one that I geeked out a much. So
Daryl's talking about QPR. We love this idea, quality price ratio, right?
Yeah.
QPR. I mean, we're consumers, right? So we look at the price and you look at like, what am I getting for 30 versus 70 or 50 versus 70? Is it worth it to spend that much on a wine? And you know, 5 years ago when I didn't know much about wine, I would have been like, no way is it worth it for me to spend 50 versus 100. Now, knowing what I know now, absolutely, for the right $100 wine, it's so worth it. But you can be disappointed even if it's expensive. So you have to kind of know what you're looking for, right? But for QPR, okay, what's my choice? Daryl, I'm not much of a spendthrift when it comes to wine. Like I just like the third one, and it's the most expensive one. It's the $70 one. Okay.
Daryl, if you knew Mira better than that, for God's sake, what kind of question? You should have asked that question to me, okay? Because you know Mira's going to go with the expensive wine. Absolutely. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it, Mira. You have a good palate. It's a good QPR. But if you ask me, I think the Temptress, for me, the middle one, provides a shitload of complexity into that. And that's why that when you look at my 3 glasses, Temptress for me in the middle is empty because this wine challenged me cerebral. Like it was a real challenge for me to get it. Oh, see, you know,
1, 2, and 3. It does go by price range for me. Seriously, what I naturally sipped more of
you
is
more.
like more of the expensive, a teeny bit less of the middle one, and way less of the $30 one, even though they're all good.
Yeah, I think Dream is like I like the progression of the Dream, the $30 one that I tasted in May, and I just tasted. I think like now it's opening up, and it's 2020 vintage. And Temptress to me, because it's 2020, I believe that this wine is still has not hit its stride yet. I believe that Temptress, when this wine's going to shoot out of the gate, is going to absolutely skyrocket. I can see a long-term potential. This one, if I rate it, that's going to be an open score on that with the floor and the ceiling. And I mean, there's a shitload of potential with Temptress. I know exactly where we're going with Apologetic. I know it's a long-term game with that wine. And Dreams, yeah, 3 of them. I saw like lot going on. But I think I'm giving the edge to the middle guy.
Carl, Daryl is giving you some good life advice.
Daryl, I've been having nightmare about that. Okay, it keeps me awake. It keeps me up at night. Okay,
But
so
Daryl, I'm very patriotic. Like I want something Canadian. So
yeah, but you know what, Daryl?
luckily
I
for
opened a
Carl,
bottle. Like we cracked a bottle of Milestone from Riverstone a couple 3 weeks ago, and I don't think that there's been one day since then that she's not talked about it, and she has not begged to go back and buy more. So yeah.
So the point being is that, like, Carl, you're lucky because with Canadian wine right now, there's the most expensive one is like 125, 150 for any Canadian wine out there. That's really good. So we're kind of really lucky that way. If you're following Canadian wines, I mean,
That's true. That's true. Well, we'll keep it that way for now.
for now, I mean, I bet you that 20 years from now, people will be like, "Oh, you got that for only $100. Oh my gosh!" Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. No, both go to potential here with these wines. 2 of these wines are going to be in our bonus pick. So the Temptress and the Apologetic are going to be in the bonus pick next week. The Dream is part of the Discovery Pack with the 2018, with the 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon and the 2020 Conspiracy. So a 6-bottle Discovery Pack for $153 or $155, including tax. So it's going to be a great price point pack. With the platinum medal Riesling as well, that we tasted before the Wine-A-Line, National Wine-A-Line that we mentioned, you and me, Mira, that wine, that's another wine this year that we can batter back and say that we called it before the award came out. So yeah, the Riesling is fantastic. There's a hint of a Passamento in that Riesling, but it's not overly sweet. It changes so much. I remember tasting that with Rob Amersley and a bunch of other people, and we had so many, like that wine changed so much over 3 days. It was fantastic. The Chardonnay is absolutely amazing. We have the bubbly rosé as well that we tasted a couple days ago. It was pretty good. So that's a fun pack, $155 including tax, coming out next week.
So guess what? Guess who is on right now? It's Arthur Fonseca, who had the idea back when you blind tasted me, Carl, on the $8, $16, $35 wines. And I'm pretty sure I got those ones right?
Yeah, you
Um,
sure did. You sure did.
yeah, so Arthur had the idea you have to do it now with the more premium price points, right? Like 30, 50, 70 kind of, right? So we did do that today thanks to Arthur's great idea. And Arthur, okay, so he just joined. So let's summarize it. Basically, I looked at what? Color, legs, nose, what else did we
Length,
look at? Well, the palette, the
length,
complexity of the
length and
palette,
finish.
flavors of the palette, and then the length and finish, and
The texture and mouthfeel.
the texture and mouthfeel. We talked about all those things. Definitely it became clear after looking at all those things that the first wine we tasted was the $30 wine. And that was correct because it was just like relative, they were all really good. Relatively speaking, they were, you know, a little bit less complexity, a little bit less mouthfeel, a little bit less finish, a little bit less thick legs, you know. The color was sort of different, you know, on the $70 wine, it has the most interesting color, the most bright rim. So these kinds of things. So yeah, definitely we were able to narrow it down. So the dream was the number one, right, Carl? That was a $30 one.
Yep.
These are all from Foreign Affair in Ontario. And then the $50 one was the second one. Carl was not very sneaky with the numbering. It was literally one was the least expensive, the 30. The number two was the $50 one. The number three was the $70 one.
Okay, listen. How many times that we poured wine and we forget which one it was? So I said, this way,
yeah,
there's no way. I'm not going to forget, okay? So yes, it's right there. One, it's 2, 3. There's no, like, okay, because I was such in a rush when I came in, pick up the kid. Yes. I had 3 minutes to do the whole thing. So I said, you know what? And I thought of that in the car on my way back. I was like, let's not fuck around, okay? No fucking around. 1, 2, 3, 30, 50, 70. That's it. I'm not going to mess it up.
We won't forget which one's which. No,
that's it. That's it. I wanted to make it efficient. I know I wasn't really sneaky, but
yeah, but there is a case to be made. And like Carl said, the QPR, quality to price ratio, probably this middle one, the $50 one, has the higher QPR because it's 50 versus 70. And they are close. They're very close. So
well, and so there's another case to be made. That $40 difference between 1 and 3. How much that $40 worth compared to what you have more in between? I mean, is there a $40 gap? Is there? The question is the biggest question of all. Is there a $40 gap in terms of difference between 3 and 1 and 3? The answer is no.
Well, no.
For one reason. For one reason. Number one, the $30 wine is freaking great. So it closes the gap to 70. To me, the 70 is right on his QPR line. It doesn't over-deliver. It's a good wine. It doesn't over-deliver. Is $70. You need to blow my socks off for like to overdo the $70. To me, you fulfill your promise in there. You fulfill. It's yep, done. Good job. At 30, you've moved the bar higher, closer to the 70. Because you over deliver what I was expecting with the 30. That's mean in terms of QPR, I'll give the edge to the $30. Now, in terms of cerebral complexity and surprising, the number 2, right on the middle, as that's we're up onto something. I haven't reached his maturity yet. Hasn't reached his full potential yet. So this is like hold on for now, but I know there's a shitload of potential. But in terms of QPR, I have to give the edge to number 1.
It's true.
And that's how rational.
what is your purpose, right? So if I just took a sip of 1 and 3 again, the $30 versus the $70. If you make me choose which one do I want to drink right now, no matter what the occasion, I want the $70 one.
Of
It's
course you
just
want. Of course you do.
it's more exciting and there's more
Of course you do.
complexity there. The 30 is great, but if I had to choose, of course I'm going to choose the 70.
Because there's no reason why you would choose number one at that very moment.
Right.
But
If I had to say, like, okay,
let's say if my mom comes over and she has a freaking clue what she's drinking, why would I open number one, number three?
right, because
There's no
the
absolute
$30
freaking
one is a
reason.
great wine. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very
I
enjoyable.
wouldn't even open number one because it's way too expensive. Anyway, no, that's a different conversation for different time.
Well, but here's a question for you. Is there ever a place for a wine that is not super enjoyable, even if it's like $5?
Oh, plain and simple, the answer is no.
Life's too
There's no
short.
room
That's
for
right.
that. No, oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially, yeah, I mean, we taste mediocre wine too often, and I mean, like, it's not everyone who are capable of producing world-class wine on a consistent basis. We taste duds a lot, but we just don't talk about it, and that's fine. But like the ratio of what we taste, there's not a lot of duds compared to like I mean, like what we get here in the mail, it's pretty darn special. So tonight, I mean, we even haven't talk about the Sauvignon Blanc, but now
Yeah.
$24.99 including tax, so a $19-20 on the shelf before tax. This is a nice, or $21 anyway. My math's awful, but I mean, this is a nice little Sauv Blanc.
I did enjoy that at first. It was a little bit shy at first. Let me try it now once we've let it breathe for like an hour. We're not super patient with our wine sometimes, are we? We kind of let them pop and pour sometimes.
So yeah, so here we are.
Oh, you know what? This white wine is really opening up after an hour. It's a lot more there on the nose than it was an hour ago.
Yeah, definitely. The nose is pretty good.
Oh yeah, and on the flavors too. That one needed a little bit of time to open up.
Yeah, so here we are.
So here we are. So
I want to say we still have 2 packs of Pinot Noir available.
Yes.
The wines are in order now, finally. So the 3 Ontario wines are going to hit the road for BC tomorrow. So we have our 6 wines selected and ready to be packed, waiting for the Ontario selection when we have still 2 of the mystery pack available from some of our top selection of the Pinot Noir Marathon.
We opened 43 Pinot Noirs from across Canada and tasted them live with you guys.
So 6 of the top 10. Yep, 6 of the top 10. Is it? 6 of the top 15. Of the top 12. Yeah. 6 of the top 12. Yeah. Are in that pack. So 3 from BC, 3 from Ontario, and it's going to be a fun one, good one, with great high score Pinot Noir in there. There's 2 or 3 available, so let us know if you would like one shipped to you.
Many of these wines are not found anywhere else, is what we've discovered. We had to really very nicely ask the winery owners to part with some of those.
Yeah. Some of them were like, nope, we don't have any. Sorry. Do you have one case somewhere? 2 weeks later, finally, we found a case for you. So well, magically the price has increased. Oh shit! But
but they're good. They're worth it. So yes.
Next marathon, Cabernet Franc. So as the members has voted a couple months ago, we did a poll, and you guys have voted for Cap Franc Marathon. So it's coming early November, and here we are. So 6 What? Go ahead, Mira.
I was gonna say I'm gonna put the link for the Cap Franc Marathon. So if you're interested in that, um, tell Facebook that you're interested, and then they'll remind you.
There you go. There you go. So now we're into the process of reaching out to as many wineries as possible. But yeah, it should be a pretty cool one. It should be some interesting Cabernet Franc in there. I don't know how many we're going to have available that day, but it's going to be
Yeah, so
interesting. We'll
I don't know
see.
what you guys think, but I told Carl, one of the things we should do is differentiate during the live tasting, maybe taste them at separate times, is what's available on the market, what's not, what's kind of a back vintage, what's a pre-release, those sorts of things I think are useful for people who are watching who might be interested in buying from the wineries. The other piece is with the Cap Franc marathon is I think we might need to split it up. If it's more than, let's say, 30 or 40, we might need to do it on 2 nights because I think tasting that many Cab Francs.
No worries. I got it. I got that covered.
Carl can do it. He's like super palate. So it's November 4th, right? Here we go.
Yeah, November 4th. Yeah.
Okay, I just put it in the comments, you guys. So if you are into Cap Franc, if you're into Canadian wine, if you're into just
Hey, more and more like
while we chat about Cap Franc, that's the marathon to tune into. Daryl's not into Cap Franc, so Daryl, it's not necessarily yours to join. You don't have
that's
to.
okay. I'm expecting you, Daryl. I'm expecting you to be tuning in that day, no matter what. And I'm gonna ask you maybe to be my color commentator that day. There you go.
We'll have to taste all of the Cap Francs, Daryl. It's a horrible job. Okay.
Here we are. So we have some visitor at home. Mira's parents are here for the week, so we're gonna go. Elaine, question for you. Do you think that is your winery Between the Line produce a Cap Franc? If yes, would you guys be interested in supplying a sample for the marathon? Please let me know. Shoot me a note in my private message, and I can reach out to someone at the tasting room or at the winery to get a sample, as many as we can get.
We really need to visit Between the Lines. I know Elaine has been working there, and she's been really saying that we need to taste it. We do, Elaine. So next time we're in Niagara, for sure, we need to stop by and taste their wines. And it's the other Elaine.
Sorry, Elaine.
Not the Elaine that works at Between the Lines. Okay, I'm sorry, Elaine. All right, so we'll have to reach out to the other Elaine and see if they have a Cab Franc at Between the Lines. But thank you for tuning in, Elaine, Bruce, and thank you guys for
Sorry about that.
by.
Sorry for the mix-up, Elaine. I apologize. Mira's Eve's free zone. Yeah. Well, you know what, Daryl? It's going to be an interesting day. I can't wait to taste now that what we consider almost one of the key grape of the Ontario wine industry. And more here in BC, you hear that quite often, that it's becoming one of the BC's key grapes. Even if Merlot has the most acreage planted, Cabernet Franc is growing a lot, and we're discovering that some of the zone that we have here are very well suited for Cabernet Franc. More of our rockstar wineries are starting to use Cap Franc. So yeah, we're quite excited. I know you're a big fan of Merlot. If you like my side, like I do love both very, very well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting day to see where BC and Ontario, if there's a big difference between the two regions in terms of style, terms of yeah, especially in terms of style. So it's going to be interesting. So tune in November 4th. And
I think our next one might need to be the second most voted response from members, which was red blends, but there's also Merlot. So we might need to re-poll that with our members in the VIP group to see what we do after Cap Franc. It would be probably in the new year.
Yeah, I would say probably end of January we should go for red blend.
That might be nice. And
or should we do something like that? Red blend in between Christmas and New Year's. How about that?
That's actually a great idea, because
there's a full week between Christmas and New Year that no one does anything, right?
You have some time to relax, right? And just taste a bunch of wines. So
let's think about that. I would yeah, okay. So it's a possibility here. So Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher,
Carl Boucher,
all of you guys, I wish you a wonderful week. And next week is Foreign Affair Weeks. And thanks for tuning in.
Oh, cheers. And Elaine is in BC. If you're in the Okanagan, we need to chat, Elaine. We are in Summerland. We'd love to see you. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers.